Chase Elliott is a champion, and before Larson, he was the guy at Hendrick, and I'm still holding out, hope that
Dale Earnhardt Jr. just shook up the NASCAR conversation by putting Chase Elliott back at the center of it. On his podcast, Jr. suggested Elliott still has what it takes to rise above the field at Hendrick Motorsports, and with Kyle Larson fresh off a championship, fans are wondering, is Elliott really gearing up to take that top spot? Once upon a time, there was no debate. Chase Elliott was the guy at Hendrick Motorsports. He was the 2020 Cup Series champion, a fan favorite, and the clear face of the team. But over the past 3 seasons, that picture has changed. Kyle Larson's arrival in 2021 reshaped the landscape. With multiple race wins, playoff dominance, and now a second Cup title, Larson has firmly taken hold of the top spot at HMS. The Garage dynamic shifted, and Elliott found himself playing catch-up. But Dale Jr. isn't ready to let go of Elliott's star power. Speaking candidly, he said, "Chase Elliott is a champion, and before Larson, he was the guy at Hendrick. I'm still holding out. I hope that he gets himself back to the top. They got some work done in that regard this year. I saw some consistency and performance in that team that I think they've been looking for."
Chase Elliott is a champion, and before Larson, he was the guy at Hendrick, and I'm still holding out, hope that he regains sort of he gets himself back to the top. And they got some work done in that regard this year. I saw some consistency and performance in that team that I think that they've been looking for.
That's a huge endorsement, and it's not based on nostalgia. Junior's confidence is rooted in the stats. Elliott's 2025 season, while not flashy, was incredibly steady. He posted 2 wins, 11 top 5 finishes, and 19 top 10s. He ended the season 8th in the standings, but more importantly, he earned the 4th most points from Daytona to Phoenix. That's consistency, and consistency is what wins under pressure. Junior thinks the upcoming changes to NASCAR's playoff format could be a major boost for Elliott's championship hopes. "No matter whether it's 3, 3, 4, or just straight 10, it's all the same to me," he said.
Yeah, Chase Elliott is now, if you go into a 10-race format, no matter whether it's 3, 3, 4, or just straight 10, it's all the same to me.
The format shift, combined with the finale moving from Phoenix to Homestead, Miami, gives Elliott a fresh landscape, a reset, and that might be exactly what he needs. I think that, Chase is definitely a guy that you could look at as somebody who could put together the 10 races, needed to be right in the mix going into Homestead.
I think that, Chase is definitely a guy that you could look at as somebody who could put together the 10 races needed to be right in the mix going into Homestead.
And let's be honest, if there's a driver who thrives when momentum starts rolling, it's Chase Elliott. Still, there's one hurdle that continues to shadow Elliott's otherwise stellar career: wins. He's vocal about it too. In a press conference tied to his 8th consecutive Most Popular Driver award, Elliott didn't hold back. "I think for us, it was okay at times and really solid at times, but it just wasn't great. We've had some high spots here or there, but certainly not as consistently doing that as what we would like." That's the paradox. Elliott's season wasn't bad, it was solid, even admirable. But in the high-stakes world of Cup Series racing, solid isn't enough, especially not when you're sharing the garage with a guy like Larson, who's racking up wins and championships. Elliott's battle isn't just on the track, it's in the optics, in the stats, and in the internal team narrative. The 2025 campaign wasn't without its stumbles. A wreck at Talladega during the round of 8 derailed his playoff momentum. Then came the heartbreaking speeding penalty at Phoenix, which cost him a shot at closing the season with a win. These weren't massive collapses, they were moments. But in NASCAR, a moment is all it takes. And that's where Dale Jr.'s take gets interesting. He sees through the surface. He sees the driver who adapted to the next-gen car, who kept grinding despite setbacks, and who maintained a high level of consistency through 36 races. That's why he's betting on a resurgence. Inside Hendrick Motorsports, the dynamic is evolving. Larson has become the figurehead, the driver you build around. But Elliott's fan base, his track record, and his role in HMS history make him impossible to sideline. Rick Hendrick has two superstars on his hands, and only one can be the definitive leader. If Elliott has a breakout 2026, that conversation could get real uncomfortable. Behind the scenes, Elliott's team has been making adjustments. There's been a renewed focus on strategy, communication, and pit execution. His chemistry with his crew chief has steadily improved. And with Chevrolet debuting a new car body in 2026, every team, including Larson's, will face a learning curve. That's an opportunity. Homestead Miami as the new championship decider is also a subtle but significant shift. It's a driver's track, a place where tire management, throttle control, and guts play a bigger role than aero packages or pit timing. And Elliott, he's got wins at driver-centric tracks. That final race could suit him more than Phoenix ever did. The playoff format change could also work in his favor. The current elimination-style rounds often reward flash-over form, but if NASCAR adopts a more straightforward 10 race points format, consistency becomes king again. That's Elliott's wheelhouse. He may not win 5 races a year, but he'll be top 10 more than most. Another advantage Elliott has heading into 2026 is the strength of the HMS organization. Hendrick Motorsports has consistently fielded competitive cars and is known for its top-tier engineering support. With continued upgrades coming from Chevrolet and the potential to iron out mechanical issues that plagued them in recent seasons, Elliott could be set up with one of the most complete packages on the grid. Off-track, Elliott's focus and maturity have also deepened. He's more hands-on in team meetings, more vocal during debriefs, and more assertive when it comes to race strategy. His leadership inside the garage is quietly growing, and that evolution could be crucial in tipping the internal balance at Hendrick back in his favor. And when Elliott's on, he's as good as anyone in the sport. His 2020 title run wasn't a fluke. He dominated Martinsville, then took Phoenix in a must-win scenario. He's proved he can show up when it counts. The question is whether he can stack enough of those performances in 2026 to shift the narrative. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson isn't slowing down. The 2025 champ remains a threat every time he straps in. His aggressive driving style, fearless moves, and killer instinct make him a fan magnet and a nightmare for the competition. But even he knows that the gap between dominance and disappointment is razor thin. If Elliott finds another gear next season, it sets up a fascinating internal rivalry. 2 superstars, 1 garage, 1 legacy. And that's the real story here. Dale Jr.'s comments didn't just hype Elliott, they fired a warning shot. The battle for supremacy at Hendrick is far from over. Fans will have their eyes glued to every qualifying session, every restart, every team radio exchange. And let's not forget, Elliott's fan support remains unmatched. 8 straight most popular driver awards speak volumes. That kind of loyalty doesn't fade, it rallies. So what happens if Elliott starts 2026 strong? If he outqualifies Larson, wins a few early races, and controls his playoff destiny? Suddenly, the spotlight shifts. The media narrative evolves, and Hendrick may need to reassess who their cornerstone truly is. There's no animosity between Elliott and Larson, just competitive fire. But in a team with that much talent, only one driver can be the face. And in 2026, Dale Earnhardt Jr. believes Chase Elliott has what it takes to reclaim that role. The stakes are sky high. The path won't be easy, but if Elliott can convert his consistency into wins, silence the doubters, and rise again when it matters most, then yes, he could absolutely destroy Larson's grip on Hendrick's throne. Let us know your thoughts. Can Elliott return to the top? Was Dale Jr. right to put this much faith in him? Who's the true alpha at Hendrick Motorsports heading into 2026? Drop your take below, and don't forget to subscribe for more NASCAR drama, deep insights, and exclusive updates from inside the garage.